This morning we woke up at the Twin Lakes campground where the Florida Trail kickoff event is held, and we had a pretty early breakfast before Fresh Ground drove us over to the trail so we could officially start the Florida Trail. And that means we're starting in Big Cypress Swamp, which is a 30-mile section of mostly water walking. Such a bold move, pulling the phone out, just hoping one hand will be enough to save me. I was surprised that the first 10 or 15 miles was actually pretty dry. There were only a couple portions where we had to go through ankle-deep water, and then there were some stretches with some pretty sticky mud, but it wasn't too bad. And for those first 17 miles, we made fantastic time, so much so that we started wondering if we should do the whole swamp in one day. We passed 13 Mile Camp around 1 o'clock, which actually marks being 13 miles from the end, which meant we were 17 miles in for the day and making really good time. It was around this time of day, though, that the water really started to pick up, and for the next probably 5 miles, we were in water up to our knees almost the entire time. Even going through the deep water, though, we were still making good time, which meant we wound up getting to the campsite 22 miles in around 4 o'clock and then decided to push on a little bit further. We knew that there was another campsite maybe 3 miles through the swamp, so worst case scenario, we could stop off there. But even still, at this point in time, we had pretty much made the decision to go all the way through the swamp tonight, which meant doing some night hiking. All right, day 8. Border to Border Calendar Year Triple Crown update. I didn't film a lot of talking videos yesterday, but I got a pretty good amount of videos of where we were to get a feel for the scenery. It was a really beautiful day. We got dropped in the early morning at the Oasis Visitor Center so we could start the Florida Trail. And the Florida Trail starts with a 32-ish mile section of swamp. And from what I remember from last year, it was 30 miles of continuous swamp, and we did 10 the first day and 20 the second day. Full day of walking in the dark to the night, like right before dark. We did 20 miles. So yesterday we were feeling ambitious. We'd heard reports that the swamp wasn't too bad. We started fairly early, and we were planning on doing 22 miles. But everyone was feeling good. The reports were correct. The first 10 miles were actually fairly easy. We made pretty good time. I mean, we didn't do 3 miles an hour. We were definitely slowed by the conditions, but we made pretty good time. So it was only 4 o'clock when we got to the 22-mile campsite. And you know, psychos, of course, we got there and we were like, it's so early. Even if the swamp slows us down at the same rate we've been going at, we'll be able to get there by 8 o'clock, maybe 9 o'clock at the latest, and do the whole swamp in a day, which would just honestly be cool because like a lot of people who hike down here, that's a goal of theirs, like to do the swamp in a day. It's very difficult. And I remembered that like towards the end, when you're about to get out and hit I-75, it got easier. You hit a dirt road, the mud was like less bad, and this was a drier year than typical. So I figured, it's gonna be even easier than that probably. We still allotted like the same amount of time, but we were hopeful. And by God, we were so wrong. I mean, we did it. We did the entire 30 miles. By God, were we wrong. It was not easy. I think the biggest issue was that we did like 7 hours of walking in water up to your knees. And it would get shallower and we would get hopeful and then it would pick up again. So, I mean, I don't know if you've ever hiked in water up to your knees when you're walking on a trail that's muddy and has a bunch of holes in the ground and obstacles and roots. Like, you're just tripping, slipping, sliding the entire time. It's exhausting. Like, things were sore that have never been sore for me, which in some ways was good because things that have been sore for the last week weren't sore. And right now, like, we're finishing up and I think I'm gonna be fine. But yeah, it was really hard. After finishing our night in the swamp, Fresh Ground met us with hot drinks and dinner, which made it all feel worth it to me. So yeah, we did the entire swamp in one push. It was probably the hardest thing that I've ever done, honestly. Done a lot of hard stuff. I've never been more consistently exhausted and ready to be done, and then keep checking and know that we had literally hours and hours and hours left of walking. But once we made our choice, we didn't have a choice because it's all swamp for so long. But we did it, and then we got out of the swamp. It was like 8:40 p.m. Fresh Grounds was here. He fed us burgers and fries, so it could be worse. This morning on day 9, we slept in a little bit, and then Fresh Ground made us all breakfast. And then we began the 17 miles to get to the stores and everything on the Seminole reservation. You have to get a permit through this area and it needs to be notarized, and we sorted that out a few days ago. And then we had some pretty easy walking along trail to make our way there. This morning is the morning of day 9 of the Border to Border Calendar Year Triple Crown. We did 30 miles yesterday, a little bit more maybe. And we managed to go through the entire Big Cypress swamp in one day, which was probably one of the hardest days of hiking that I've ever done. Maybe the last 3 hours, I was so tired and I wanted to stop the entire time. I mean, picture walking in knee-deep water for 7 hours straight, and the bottom of the water is holes and roots, rocks and down trees, and thick mud. So it was exhausting, but I basically just bought myself half of an entire day because I figured I would only actually make it 20 miles and then, have to go out of the swamp this morning, maybe get out by 10 or 11. And then because of the Seminole reservation, which is coming up, you can't camp on the reservation unless you stay at a designated campsite, which is the church. So we were going to have to do a shorter day today to either camp at the boundary or then a really big day today to get to that church. But now it looks like we're going to get well past the church, which is amazing. And I woke up this morning, my body feels really good, even though yesterday was so hard. All right, this is the gate that marks the start of the Seminole reservation. I actually camped right here last year because you're not allowed to camp on the reservation. And this is the section you have to get permits for, and you have to get them notarized and then submit them. But we're gonna get through the entire reservation today. We'll be on dirt roads for a little bit, and then you get onto actual roads and you walk right through the reservation. We only had 9 miles to go after that, and it was on dirt road for a while, and then we got out onto a main road, making our way through the Seminole reservation, and we planned to stop off at a gas station to get some lunch and then keep going for the day. Once we got onto the main street in the reservation, the pastor for the Baptist church in town actually pulled over and invited us over to the church. That's a place that hikers can tent or camp. Sometimes they feed you, and they have all kinds of amenities, laundry and showers. So we decided to take our first break of the day there and just hang out for a little while, which was awesome. This place is somewhere where you definitely have to stop along the Florida Trail. Church. We only stopped off for about an hour, but they gave us all kinds of goodies and had drinks in the fridge. And we even got to take nice hot showers before we continued on for the rest of the day. So we just got into the Baptist church on the Seminole reservation, and on our way into town, the pastor drove by us. He was talking to me. He recognizes me off Nine Lives YouTube channel from the CDT, and he just told us, make sure we go in there, and they have a bunch of stuff for us, and we can take a break and charge up. And I'm so glad we did because, one, it's so nice here and so cute, and my charging brick was almost empty. Okay, this place officially has my heart. It's amazing. There's drinks here. There's everything you could possibly need. Just took an incredible hot shower, which it's actually was really nice because it's kind of cold here today. My body feels so good. Cleaned all that swamp off me. But I mean, we're not sticking around to do laundry. We're trying to get more miles in today. Hopefully like 8 more to the next designated site. I'd love to go further, but I don't think there's anything further. So we'll see. But if you are doing the Florida Trail, stop in at the Baptist Church on the reservation. This place is literally heaven on earth. Just incredible. They have tons of little goodies. Like they give out this little goodie bag and it has, let's see, like big Band-Aid. What else we got in here? Little mint. It's got electrolytes. Just all kinds of stuff you would need. I haven't really fully gone through it yet. I don't know what this is. Ooh, a toothbrush. Ooh. I'd switch mine out, but I like mine to have caps on them just to keep them clean because I keep them in my fanny pack. But I'm feeling so good. I'm shocked how good I feel after yesterday. That shower just rejuvenated me. I feel so clean. And we're hoping to do a, pretty big day today, even after yesterday, and just earning back time. Like I basically in the last 9 days have bought myself a promise of a 0 whenever I want, which is a good feeling, but I'm hoarding them and I'm gonna keep them for when I really need them. Yeah, so this is the kit they give you when you check in to this church. I'm not gonna take everything, but probably these ibuprofen, because I don't carry ibuprofen, triple antibiotic ointment, a little Propel. And I mean, everything else is super useful. Ooh, I'll take the alcohol wipe. Just depending on what you're doing. I mean, I don't need most of this stuff, so I'll leave it for the next person, but it's perfect. After we took showers at the Baptist church, we kept going for a mile or so down the road to a little store and then grabbed some lunch and stuff for the rest of the day. And then we just had to walk along the road for a little bit and got onto a dirt levee for the rest of the night, which was really nice walking.
Not too sure.
Originally, we only planned to do another maybe 9 miles after the church and going through the Seminole, but we wound up going a little bit further and hiking into the night.
Look, that is running out there. Those pigs.
At first, we were only planning to do a 26-mile day, but we wound up going a little bit further and hiking into the night to catch up to someone who was in front of us, so it wound up being a 33-mile day. All right, it's almost 6 o'clock. Look at the sunset behind me. Oh, what a day. Amazing day. We wound up staying at the Baptist church until maybe like 3 o'clock. We were talking to the pastor and his wife and a couple other Florida Trail hikers who came in. And it was like, there's no rush because we're going to this canal with a tent site. And it was only, I want to say, 9.7 miles from the church. So we left there around 3. We stopped off at the gas station down the road. I got an empanada and I got one to pack out, if you can see it. So that's going to be my dinner with a couple mayo packets. Amazing. And I got some juice and it has been so nice and easy. Then once we got to the gas station, it was like we only had 7.5 miles left. We had some road walking out of town. And then we've basically been on this like dirt path alongside the road for the rest of the day. We just turned off the main road, which is nice. Now it's quiet. We're kind of surrounded by cow fields and we're making our way. I think we're getting close. We're just gonna camp at this designated site. I'm pretty sure I camped there last time on the Florida Trail. And I think there's bathrooms or like pit toilets and it should be really great. We wound up being a 26-mile day and yesterday was a 30 and like the last 2 days combined should have probably been 40 miles because of the swamp. Like we should not have made good miles. I shouldn't have been able to maintain the average I'm trying to maintain, but I did. So pretty killer couple of days. the morning of day 10, and I'm gonna record a little later because it's so dark, but we're walking in the dark. We started maybe a little after 5:30. We're hoping to get to Cliston today. We will see. This morning we started walking before the sun came up, and our plan is to get into Cliston today, so it's gonna be a pretty long day, but it'll be nice to get to town. While we were road walking this morning, I got a call from Fresh Ground. He said he was going to come out to feed us lunch, but before he came out, he actually came and grabbed our packs so we could slack pack for the rest of the day, which is awesome because it's going to be about 30 miles to Cliston. So we got to do the next 9 miles or so with light packs, and then we made our way to where he was going to be set up to feed us lunch, which was perfect. When we arrived there, he had pasta and garlic bread. We got to eat a nice filling lunch before we pushed those last 14 miles to get to Cliston. All right, it's the middle of day 10. We're actually slack packing right now. You can see. Woke up this morning, got some miles in, feeling pretty good. A little tired, honestly. And then like 8:30 this morning, Fresh Ground calls and says he's gonna come out and feed us lunch. But before he comes out to feed us lunch, he swung by us on the road, took our packs, gave us these little day packs. So we got to like do 9 miles early in the day, slack packing. And then by the time we caught him at this picnic area, we only had 14 miles left for the day. So we're doing that right now. We probably have like maybe 10 or less. We're slack packing the whole way to Cliston, which is just making it so much easier. I mean, we just did like 31 miles in the swamp 2 days ago. We did almost 33 miles yesterday. Today will be 29 and a half, almost 30 miles. So we're cranking, but the slack pack, every time we get to slack pack or something like that, it's like doing a half day or like an easy day, and we still get the miles in. So we're gonna get into Cliston. I'm with Longshot right now, he's up ahead. And then Punisher is gonna be in town. We're just gonna stay at the Best Western. First laundry in 10 days, so that's gonna be killer. And just shower, get to charge everything up. It's been a while since a full recharge. And we're heading up towards Okeechobee over the next 50 miles after this. And then kind of like outwards, I guess a little bit west towards the River Ranch area. But today's day 10. By the end of the day today, we'll be 284 miles in. So that is even going through Big Cypress Swamp and starting, just 10 days ago, still maintaining 28.4 mile a day average, which is crazy. Even with the swamp, like the swamp did not get us, man. I mean, it got us. It made me so sore. It was so hard, but we ate it up, chewed it up, spit it out. And it didn't mess up the miles. So now, we're getting into town today. We get to relax and chill and get all the amenities of a town stay. And I still have bought myself a zero for later just to put in my pocket and keep for a rainy day, literally. And it's just the first 10 days. So if I can just keep this up and keep the good balance up over the next few weeks, we're getting places, and I feel good. My body feels good. We got to caught up at Fresh Ground today around noon, and I was tired. More than my body. Like my body didn't feel sore, but my mind and just whole self was just exhausted. And then he fed us a giant plate of spaghetti with red sauce and meat and garlic bread and a coffee and a Gatorade, and we left there, and I have so much energy. I feel so good. So it's an amazing day. It's gonna be a really good day. It's like 1:30. We should be in town at 4. Got nothing but time, man. All right, just gonna give another little update. So we've been walking since like noon. That's when Fresh Ground came out and met us for lunch. And now it's 3 o'clock, and I bet we'll get in like maybe 4:15, 4:20 or something. Last I checked, we had like 5 miles left. It's probably a little bit less at this point, but I'll have to record my legs when I get back because it's sort of bright out, so it's really hard to see. But I just took a Benadryl because my thighs, like, were just feeling kind of tight. I'm like, you know, it's a little hot today. It's like 75. I'm like, oh, I'm probably getting a little bit of a sunburn. But my legs are pretty used to the sun. Like, I don't burn super bad or easily. So I rubbed my hands over the backs and middle of my thighs, and there's a bunch of like tiny hives all up the back and side of my thighs, and then like the middle part of my thighs where they kind of touch. I've gotten hives from pesticides, plants, the sun. It's something I actually had happen a lot of times in Florida and many times in California, but it's not something I've ever been able to like trace specifically to any one thing. So like the day we got into the Miccosukee casino, I thought I sat in something, a bunch of hives in the back of my thigh. But I took a shower, I woke up the next day and it was like mostly gone. It might be like sun rash combined with some kind of plant or pesticide, because I mean, we've been walking by the sugarcane fields today and lots of fields. I'm sure they're spraying a lot of stuff out here. Like, I've gotten hives before. They're usually kind of patchy and like will be like blotchy things, but this is like a bunch of dots, like a bunch of very small hives, but they're all kind of like hard, like firmer versus little blotchy patches. I don't know, but I just noticed it like in the last 20 minutes. It's all over the backs of my thighs, the insides of my thighs, the sides of my thighs, but not my calves or any other part of me. So that's mysterious. It's not really painful, and I mean, it's really hard to notice on my skin unless I like pull my skin to see like the resistance, and then you can see the dots. Dude, it's always something. Other than that, my body feels really fine. I mean, we have a handful of miles left, so we're probably almost a marathon into the day. I feel fine. It's been a good slack pack. We're getting there. While we were doing those last 10 or so miles to get into Cliston, I wound up having a pretty bad allergic reaction to something, and my legs broke out in tons of hives. So by the time we got into town, my thighs were just burning and felt terrible. But hopefully we'll get in, get a shower, and it'll all feel better. And I'm just hoping it goes down by tomorrow. When we finally got into town, Fresh Ground picked us up at the road and then drove us the mile or so further into town so we could check into a room for the night. Punisher was already there, and then all of us just split a room and we got to hang out, relax. I took a shower. The hives felt a little bit better, but they were still pretty bad. So I'm just gonna treat them tonight as best I can and hope that they're gone by tomorrow. And then we wound up going out to dinner with Fresh Ground to a nice Cuban restaurant, and it was a great day. It is the start of day 10, and we got to spend the night in Cliston last night, which was awesome and super restful. And then Fresh Ground drove us back to the trail in the early morning. Almost as soon as we started walking, it started to rain on us, but we kept going, and it wound up raining for the first hour or so of the day pretty lightly, which wasn't too bad. We just bundled up in rain gear. Honestly, the worst part is getting your shorts soaking wet. Today's day 11, border to border, calendar year Triple Crown. We've been getting rained on the first hour of the day. We got into Cliston last night. My hives went down a little bit. Not all the way though, they're still a little annoying today. Fresh Ground brought us back to the trail. We're going. Rain's kind of stopping now, so should be a good day. After the rain stopped, the weather was nice for the rest of the day, which was awesome, and we started making our way toward Moorhaven. After you leave Cliston, the trail has you walking on levees for most of the day. And then after a while, we got onto some main roads so we could basically go over this big highway overpass, which is super roundabout and actually adds a lot of distance, but there's no other way. And then we went through Moorhaven, and then after that, you got off the road and back to the levee. After that, we were walking along a paved levee, kind of alongside a road for most of the rest of the day. That was probably the most boring stretch of the day. Really, the only notable thing you went by was a dump, but then we started getting closer to the next town of Lakeport. At one point, we met some weekender section hikers that we went past, kind of close to this bridge. And then we continued into Lakeport, where I'd seen that there was $1 ice creams for sale at this like Aruba RV campground place. So we stopped off and took a break there because that was awesome. And around this time, I noticed that my hives were definitely coming back again from yesterday. While we were walking through Lakeport, Longshot had the idea to call some of the places along the road that might do lodging for the night, because we were still going to wind up doing a 30-mile day, but it'd be cool to end in a room. I was pretty happy about that because at this point the hives were back full force, so it was going to be nice to get to take a shower to end the day. We wound up staying at the Twin Palm Resort, and the funny thing is I stayed here last year, and tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of finishing the ECT, and that's the same day that I stayed at the Twin Palm Resort before in the same exact room, so that's just a small world. After spending the night in town, day 12 began with some more levee walking before the sun came up. It's the morning of day 12. We've been walking for like 3.5 hours. We stayed at Twin Palm Resort last night, which was like a little cabin that actually 1 year ago today I stayed at after finishing the ECT, which is pretty cool. Today is the 1-year anniversary of getting to Key West and completing that hike, 5,600 miles over 10.5 months. And now we're like 300 and something miles north of that, starting another hike. Today we're gonna be getting into the Okeechobee area around noon, and someone's actually gonna be coming out and meeting us with some lunch, which is cool. And we're gonna bypass Okeechobee entirely, which is gonna save a ton of time, and then just keep heading north from there towards the River Ranch area. We wound up getting to the Scott Driver recreation area around 1 o'clock, which was great. And then one of Punisher's friends from a different trail came out, and he brought us pizza and sodas and stuff for lunch, which was awesome.
Does it really?
And we spent some time there just hanging out and taking a long break because we really didn't have very far to go from the day, and we were already about 23 miles in.
We got a set of pontoons.
Oh, okay.
I think they're like 24.
Around lunchtime, I noticed that my hives were definitely starting to come back. They weren't painful, but I could tell that they were a lot more raised. So I definitely had a feeling that over the course of the day, they were going to get worse, which as soon as we left lunch and we were out in a really exposed area, they just started to burn. And by 4 o'clock, like the back of my right knee was just so sore and uncomfortable. They're really not that bad, but they get pretty irritating. All right, day 12 is wrapping up. It's maybe 6 o'clock. Sun's about to go down. It's a good day. I think in the end it'll probably be 30 or 31 miles. We'll see. We did about 17 miles earlier today and then met up with one of Punisher's friends. He brought us out pizza. We had pizza at the parking area where you would hitch into Okeechobee if you were resupplying there. We didn't actually need to resupply, which is nice and saved us a ton of time. So we just had a long lunch there, and then we kept going. We had about, between 13 and 16 miles to go after that. And in the early part of the day, my hives were definitely better than yesterday. But then once the sun came out, I don't think they're from the sun, but the sun has definitely been irritating them. So they got worse again around like 3 to 4 p.m., and it's really just one patch on the back of my right leg that's really bothering me. I'm just hoping we're going to be heading into off roads and into a more wooded area for the next few days, so I'm hoping that that'll get better. And we're getting pretty close to where we're gonna camp tonight. It was a good day. Kind of a weird day when it was like maybe 3:30, 4 o'clock. My mom called me that she was in a really bad car accident and she was T-boned and her car's totaled. And the person who hit her doesn't have a driver's license. So she was pretty shaken up. That was kind of a weird conversation, I guess. I'm just glad she's fine. It's always weird when stuff like that, and kind of scary when stuff like that happens when you're on trail and you're not at home. But she's totally fine, so that's good. Just, freaked out. Like, I've been in some pretty bad car accidents, so understandably a little shaken up. But then we got to a little water cache. Someone had left out a bunch of jugs. We got water, we filled up for the night, and now we're just walking for another couple of miles or something until we get to the next designated campsite. Day 13 began nice and early. We walked in the dark for the first couple of hours. We were on road for a little bit, and then we're on a really nice trail for a while. But after maybe a mile or two, we were back on road for most of the morning. And we made our way about 10 miles until we came to a little gas station convenience store where we took our first break. And then we plan to be walking on road for the rest of the day, which should be pretty chill. All right, day 13, border to border, calendar year, Triple Crown. We started like 5:30 this morning, nice and early. We had like 11 or 12 miles to get to this little store, like gas station stop in between Okeechobee and River Ranch, which was nice. Got some drinks there, hung out there for a little while. And we actually found a route to get up to Kissimmee Prairie Preserve area that's like 17 miles shorter. So we're doing that right now because honestly in Florida, like until I hit the AT, I'm just doing the fastest route out of Florida. Like this isn't the Florida Trail, Triple Crown. I'm just doing border to border. So if we can shave off a little bit here and there on the Florida Trail, I'm here for it because that's just gonna buy time later on in the year. And it's still gonna be like 8,400 miles is like a very low ball estimate. So it's probably gonna be even more. So that'll get the miles down a little bit, which is killer. So we probably only have, I don't know, maybe between 6 and 10 miles to get to this Kissimmee Prairie Preserve like camping area, which I think I recall had showers and laundry. That'll be like 28 miles for the day, so we might just call it a day there. We'll just have to see. It's been a good day so far. Hives aren't like super bothering me so far today. I mean, like they're there. They went down at night. They always go down at night and get a lot better because I'm applying cream and like not irritating them, and I'm taking a lot of Benadryl. But we'll just see. Like they're not hurting me or bothering me so far today, so I'm just hoping that that continues. Before we got into Kissimmee Prairie Preserve, we heard from Fresh Ground, and he said he was going to come out and meet us for lunch, which was kind of a surprise, which was great. And right before we got there, this lady Barbara actually came up to us and brought us brownies, which was so nice. And then shortly after that, we met up with Fresh Ground and had an amazing lunch, cheeseburgers and fries. And we only had 5 miles to go for the day to get to camp for the night. Before we even got into the campground, this lady, I think her name was Sandra, stopped us on the road and told us she had trail magic for us at the park store, which wound up being laundry detergent and quarters so we could wash our stuff. And she also left like little goodies and snacks and things, which was so nice. And we had a great experience there. Everyone was really awesome and kind. We all got to like shower and do laundry. And then it was an early day, even doing about 28 miles. We just got to chill out for the rest of the night, which was awesome. And it honestly kind of just felt like a half day. After a nice night at the Kissimmee Prairie Preserve, we started bright and early before 5 a.m., which was awesome. And we actually went through the section of trail where last year I fell into the water and was like chest deep, and it was horrifying. But this time it was barely wet, which was awesome. And this is the end of week 2, the last day of week 2. It was a great day. We just spent the morning making our way to the River Ranch for our next resupply. This morning we wound up doing 16 miles by 10 a.m., which was awesome. definitely loving the earlier starts, and this is kind of what I was envisioning for the year. And then before noon, we got into River Ranch, which was like 23 miles for the day, which meant we only had maybe like 10 miles to go, and we had lots of time. So when we got in there, we chilled out for probably 2 hours, had lunch before we resupplied, and then all I got for resupply was Gatorade and soda and rock candy, because I've barely been eating any of my food because we've gotten so much trail magic. So I really didn't have to get anything. What are we building? Summer! When we left River Ranch, we were on the road for a little bit and then got to walk on a really nice trail for a handful of miles. Not long after that, we were back on the road for the rest of the day, and for a while we were on a super busy highway that had a ton of traffic on it. All right, we wrapping up day 14, end of week 2, and by the end of this week, 14 days, we'll be over 400 miles in. So we're right on the money, baby. We're killing it. We did maybe 23 miles by noon today. Got into River Ranch where we resupplied, got lunch, got some drinks, didn't really need a lot of food. And then we left there and we've been hiking for the last couple hours. Sun's getting ready to set. It's like 4:45. We only had 11 miles to go from there, but we added basically a whole mile by going in and out of River Ranch. So it's gonna be like a 34, maybe a 35 mile day. Feeling great. Yeah, and I just was talking for the last hour with this adorable girl, Haven, who is about to start her first thru hike in the next like few months, just giving her some tips and advice on the Appalachian Trail. And that was nice, you know, got to distract myself from the road for like an hour. And now we're just continuing on. A little bit left to go for the day. That's the day. Eventually we got off the busy road and we're onto a small like dirt side road, and we only walked for another hour or so after that and then found a nice place to set up camp for the night.